we're going to invest that at the long rate. That means 1 plus the long rate times 12 over length of the long term. So we would have to pay, in this case, pay back 1,096,000 blah blah. But from that, I'm going to deduct the 1 million. Why is that number that big? Didn't I do that correctly here? Let's do it again. 1 million divided by 1 plus short-term rate divided by 12 over short. Okay. Let's multiply that by 1 plus the long rate divided by 12 over long. Okay. Apparently I was making a formula mistake with a parenthesis somewhere. So that's going to cost me let's do this. Let's make these purple, white. I'm going to make this red and white. What do I need to do to figure out what the forward rate should be? You've seen enough Excel. I need to change the forward rate such that the cost using forward and money market should be the same, right? Which means the difference should be 0. Do we have a quick way of doing that in Excel? What is that, Django? Goal seek. I mean, we could even use the seeker thingy, but I'm not going to go fancy on you. Data. What if analysis, goal seek, make that difference 0 and by changing the forward rate. So it should be 5.5606, which is exactly the number that we came when we do that by hand. Okay. Now let's do a different. Suppose I want to calculate the forward rate that starts from 6 months from now and ends in 12 months. By the way, you probably noticed that forward rate is actually a lot higher than the current 3-month rate and almost as high as the current 6-month rate. When the longer term rate is higher than the shorter term rate, forward rate could be even higher than both of them. So let's do 6 and 12, okay? Well, we already know the current 6-month rate, so let's enter that. 5.567. The current 12-month rate is 5.423. As you can see, in this case, 12-month rate is lower than current 6-month rate. What does that tell you in terms of what market expects? If you've seen that, what's the first thing you're going to think? Is it more likely that 6-month rate is going to be lower 6 months from now or higher? No, lower. Because remember, 12-month rate is 6 months and 6 months, right? The first 6 months is at 567. Then it's going to be compounded. But for it to be compounded again and result in a much lower rate, the second rate needs to be lower. Okay? So market's expecting the 6-month rate to be lower 6 months from now. That may or may not be realized. That's besides the point. That's how market is pricing these loans. That's how forward rate is actually priced. So I'm going to take that difference again. Data, what if analysis, goal seek to 0 by changing that. Oops, I put the wrong changing. So it's 513.60. If you noticed, that forward 6-month rate is lower than both current 12-month rate and 6-month rate. When the yield curve kind of downward sloping, forward rates are going to be much lower. When it's upward sloping, it's going to be much higher. And let's create a copy of this and with years. In this case, let's see. We're going to go ahead and directly compound things. So I'm going to take 1 million times 1 plus the short rate raised to the power that minus 1 million. Oh, I'm sorry. So if I did a forward loan that starts in 6 years, ends in 12 years, and cost of the loan is 513.16 compounded, that's how much on top of 1 million I would pay 12 years from now. Okay? We're gonna do the same thing in the money market. First, I'm gonna determine how much I need to borrow. Not 1 million, because I already have the 1 million here. Divide that by 1 plus the short interest rate raised to the power that number of years. That's how much I need to borrow, okay? And let's invest that money. Let's calculate the cost of borrowing at the long rate, 1 plus the long rate raised to the power long length. And from all of that, I'm going to deduct this one. So that's the difference. Again, I'll do it next time. I'm going to kind of make this automatic, but for now, let's do it with goal seek. data, what if analysis, goal seek, make the difference 0 by changing the forward rate. Let's apply this. Right now those interest rates are not what the market is. Suppose I'm doing this, a 5-year forward loan that starts, 5-year loan that starts in 5 years. Current 5-year rate is 471. Current 10-year rate is 4704. And the forward rate is 4698. Since the 5 and 10-year rates are close to each other, it's not surprising that forward rate is different. For example, if I did, let me see, a 3-year forward rate that starts in 2 years. So let's do 2 and 5. 5 is 471. 2 is 509. You obviously know that market thinks 2-year rates, 3-year rate is going to be lower. So that would be 444. The current 3-year rate is 486. So market is thinking that in 2 years rates are going to be lower. That's kind of the interpretation of that. I'll spend about 10-15 minutes in the beginning of next class to kind of make this automatic. As soon as I change the inputs, it's going to automatically figure out the forward rate. But I don't want to work on that in the last 8 minutes. So I'll see you guys Wednesday.